defines an indie game? Now that's the question that I will not be answering here today. That's right, I'm not about to answer the tired debate of what actually constitutes an indie game and what doesn't. Truth be told, the words lost all meaning in the current development landscape of Kickstarter and Steam Early Access. But for the sake of this list, we can agree that indie simply means downloadable title made on a low budget by a small team of developers. Well, I guess that too is redundant considering all games are available to download, but I digress. Anywho, the world of indie games exploded into the scene way back in 2008 with Braid. Back then, downloading a game onto your console was still a foreign concept, and few gave the idea a second thought. Fast forward almost a decade, and these games are making up 2/3 of the games released on PS4 and Xbox One. Now, before you get all butthurt about your favorite game not being on this list, take the time to remember this is just our opinion, and you may as well disagree with the entire list. But that's the beauty of it. So without further ado, let's count down our top 10 picks for the best indie games of all time. At number 10 we have Fez, arguably the first big hit of the indie scene. Created almost entirely by Phil Fish, Fez is a marvel of game design. With mind-bending level design in which you rotate the levels to progress, beautiful pixel art, and pleasant sound design, Fez is simply a joy to play. Sure, it may look like a Super Nintendo game, but your SNES would have a stroke if it tried to play Fez. Fez begs you to explore its world at your own pace, and it's a testament to the design that you can do so without getting frustrated. The first time you jump into the blocky world and the entire perspective shifts, you'll have a smile on your face and be hooked to the brilliance of Fez.
What's in this cave down here?
NFS tells people not to go too far in there. It's pretty dangerous. You're in it, aren't you?
It doesn't seem that dangerous. Whoa, whoa! Ah, no!
Henry!
Seriously, it's completely fine in here.
Damn it.
Firewatch, the first game from developer Campo Stando, had lofty expectations ahead of its release in 2016. With the development team that worked on The Walking Dead, Mark of the Ninja, and art courtesy of Oli Moss, it's easy to see why this game was so highly anticipated. Firewatch puts you in the shoes of Henry, a middle-aged man who needs a break from his difficult life, so impulsively takes a job as a forest lookout in the Shoshone National Park, Wyoming. This game takes place in 1989, a year after the horrible Yellowstone fires. Playing as Henry, you'll have a walkie-talkie that connects you to the other nearest lookout, Delilah, who guides you through the first days on the job. Firewatch is sheer beauty. From the jaw-dropping art by Oli Moss to the emotionally charged voice acting, Firewatch is everything a narrative-driven experience should be. The gameplay aims to serve the story, and the overall package is so finely crafted that it's impossible not to be immersed in the gorgeous world that Campo Santo has created. Giant Sparrow is a game developer that was signed by Sony literally out of college, and the first thing they created was a giant white room in which the player would splash black around. Eventually, after years of development, that rudimentary idea turned into the Unfinished Swan. Standing toe-to-toe with Journey as the best indie games from the PS3, the Unfinished Swan portrayed the adventure of Monroe, an orphan who was allowed to retain one painting from his mother's collection after she sadly passes away. One night, Monroe wakes up to find the swan missing, and so he leaps into the canvas and finds himself in a completely white world. The mechanic of the game sees Monroe throwing paint which splashes on surfaces to reveal the world and help you navigate. The sheer sense of wonder that comes from throwing every blob of paint to find a mundane object such as a park bench or a wooden crate is equaled by the touching story of Monroe searching for a place in the world. The game is a beautiful, serene journey narrated by a soothing voice that will stick with you long after it's over. And of course, we couldn't have a top 10 indie games list without the game Undertale. When you talk about beloved video games, you think Pokemon, Zelda, Skyrim, but you can definitely add Undertale to that list. Emerging from obscurity in 2015, there was a long ground swell of devotion and fanfare for Undertale, and it seemed that everybody who played it fell in love with it, and rightfully so. Undertale masterfully created a game that weaved typical RPG elements with original Pokemon-style graphics and a fairly simple story. Then it took all those elements and flipped them over on their head, and the story twisted into something much darker and revolutionary, while still making you laugh. And the battle system changed, which consistently kept you on your toes. Undertale is the perfect storm of mechanics, characters, art style, plot, etc., melding together to create a masterpiece. It's an example of every single element of a game being utilized to further the experience and keep the players engaged. Undertale is an adventure like no other, and I implore everyone to take it. And you can play it on your standard laptop for just $10.
This is Dr. Catherine Collins. I don't know if anyone will ever hear this. It's all over. I'm the only one left.
Everyone's gone to the Rapture. Set in a perfectly recreated 1980s village in which every single person has disappeared, Everyone's Gone to the Rapture tells a story of everyday life coming to an abrupt end. As a voiceless wanderer, you are guided through the picture-perfect village of Jotun by an ethereal ball of light that seeks to reveal to you the mystery of what happened to the locals. The people have left behind literal traces of themselves, which when prompted take form and act out some of the last moments of their lives, like a message from beyond the grave. You can follow these particular people and watch exactly what they did, who they were with, or were they alone when they met their demise? Did they at least get a goodbye? The answers to those kinds of questions are what pushes you through the game. While unraveling the much larger mystery at hand, you become connected to the villagers while never actually meeting any of them. Everybody's Gone to the Rapture is a testament to well-written dialogue and a perfectly created setting. These elements come together to weave a story that will tug at your heartstrings as much as it makes you scratch your head and wonder. Inside. Playdead was always going to have a very hard time attempting to follow up its smash hit Limbo. However, it did something much better. The team eclipsed every single element of Limbo and crafted a game so stylish and weird that it demands to be played. They crafted Inside. Not quite as grayscale as Limbo, Inside added a little red to the proceedings and some excellent lighting to create a really stunning game. It's difficult to talk about the plot or even the mechanics of Inside without delving into spoiler territory in some fashion. I will say that it plays a lot like Limbo, but much improved, and I guess it kinda sums up everything about Inside. It's Limbo on steroids. In short, Inside is a fantastic game that you should play. It's the modern evolution of the puzzle platformer which uses all the facets of the genre to perfect it. What can I say about Gone Home that hasn't already been said? The game launched in 2013 on PC and set new standards for environmental storytelling and progressive topics in gaming. Gone Home from the Fulbright community tells a story of Katie, a college student who returns from a summer abroad to her family's new home in Oregon. Set in 1995, the family is still in the process of moving, so there's a lot of boxes in disarray around the home, and her parents and sister are nowhere to be found. Once again, it's hard to say much more without spoiling the game for anybody. Gone Home, in a way, put walking simulators on the map. Even though the term is often used in a derogatory fashion, the subgenre is alive and well, in large part thanks to the brilliance and success of Gone Home. Journey is often considered the crown jewel of indie games, a breathtaking voyage through a scorching desert in order to reach the shining peak of a mountain ahead, a deceptively simple premise. Journey celebrates the majesty of nature and offers up an adventure that is unforgettable as it is beautiful. The game clocks in at around 2 hours and takes you through the full spectrum of emotions, from the awe of climbing your first dune and seeing the vista ahead to the dread you feel when traversing the dark underground locals. And perhaps most importantly, along the way you might meet a friend. As you play Journey, you can encounter another traveler who joins you in your trek to the mountaintop. This partnership formed the core of many Journey experiences, especially when the game ends and you realize it was another player and not an AI. In all of the online gaming I've played, none has been as unique and touching as my solitary Journey playthrough. There is a reason Journey is revered to the extent that it is. It is a masterpiece of storytelling and visuals that manages to tug on all the right strings while not uttering a single word. When people say games cannot be art, point them into the direction of Journey. Shovel Knight was a game funded on Kickstarter and is one of those true success stories to emerge from the platform. Carrying on the lineage of classic platformers like Super Mario World, Mega Man, Castlevania, Shovel Knight didn't reinvent the wheel, but it might as well have perfected it. Of course, in the world of gaming, it comes as blasphemy to say that anything is better than those that have pioneered the way. those that people hold the most nostalgia for. But the reality is that Shovel Knight combined the best elements of all of those classic games to make the perfect action platformer. Even though it's an amalgamation of those games, taking the world map, inventory, and combat from NES classics, Shovel Knight was a success because it has a personality of its own. With whimsical characters, fairy tale setting, and flawless mechanics, Shovel Knight did what so few people in other platformers were able to achieve: originality and peerless quality. Available on pretty much every platform imaginable, there's no excuse not to play Shovel Knight. Personally, I played it on the PS Vita, where it feels right at home. Furthermore, Yacht Club Games, developer of Shovel Knight, has released 2 full-length DLCs, the most recent being a brand new game head to toe. And there's more to come. Oh, and it's all been free, if you already own the game. That's a fan service like no other. So what are you waiting for? Stardew Valley is a phenomenon. Similar to Undertale, it has a rabid fan base, and everyone that plays it falls in love. And there's a very simple reason why. It's addictive. I'm not a fan of farming simulator games, like Animal Crossing, never appealed to me. Yet I kept hearing reverent praise for Stardew Valley, so I eventually picked it up on a PSN sale, and I figured I'd play it for a few hours before deleting it. 94 hours later, I finished Stardew Valley. Why? Well, because never before had I played a game with a better carrot on the end of the stick. Every day cycle in Stardew Valley lasts 1 hour, and in that hour you might water your crops, chop down some trees, run into town and go fishing, and go to the bar to talk to the locals. Of course you could turn it off there, but tomorrow you want to go to the blacksmith and crack open an ore, run down to the forest to see if the gypsy with the traveling cart is back, and maybe go up to the mines where you accidentally run out of stamina and pass out. You wake up the next morning and find out that somebody stole your money, so now you have to make it back. As well as check out the community center and maybe have your eye on a villager so you want to bring them a gift. That's a quick example of how you could easily lose 3 hours to Stardew Valley. Stardew Valley is a really special game that is every bit as charming and fun as it is life-consuming. There is so much more to it than a farming simulator. Stardew Valley is like Animal Crossing meets The Sims with a dash of Zelda thrown in there. Even now that might not look like it's for you, but give it a couple hours and I guarantee you will be caught. Hook, line, and sinker. Thank you guys so much for watching our list. If you guys watched the entire thing, you made it to this point, make sure to comment the 3 words that were hidden without this video, and you will be getting a Steam key reply to your comment, and it can range from $1 value to $20 value. It's going to be a really fun game I thought we'd play. And yeah, if you guys enjoyed this, you guys know what to do. Make sure to hit that subscribe button, like for more, and we will see you in the next one.